a while. I've not been on here for so long. It's practically been the whole summer. I think I left you at the end of the heat wave back in June. It seems a very long time ago now, but it's just been raining since then. Well, not completely ever since then, but a lot of rain since then, and I've just been super busy, and I think I got a bit of the summer overwhelm. There's just so much to do and so little time, because even though I home educate, so I'm used to having the children at home, once you get out of that routine and you've got different trips and different children going to different places, and it just all gets a lot. So I'm back. My plan is to try and get back on top of these vlogs and keep you up to date with what I'm doing. Hopefully I'll manage a bit better than I have the last couple of months. So thank you for everyone who stuck around waiting for me to get back on my game. So I'm on the allotment this afternoon. I've been doing the usual ferrying because my allotment isn't right next to where I live. I have to drive here, and so there's always the bringing stuff home, bringing stuff back. The car's always full of stuff, so I've been borrowing pots and baskets and all kinds of things back down here. So the allotment has been okay. A lot of the summer things that you expect to do well haven't done so well. A lot of the things that normally struggle in the warm weather have done great because it's been really cold. There's a lot of slugs, a lot of snails, but not as many caterpillars as normal, so you know, swings and roundabouts. I've got a lot of weeds. We did a massive weed a couple of weeks ago, but I've still got loads. They've gone bonkers. Raspberries everywhere, whether you want them or not. So I thought I'll just show you a few things on the allotment, and also show you what I've sown. I did quite a lot of sowing last week and the week before, so I've got lots of little seedlings in the greenhouse again, and those are mainly salads and things that hopefully will grow over the winter, either outside or in the polytunnel. So I'm glad to have me back, and I'll show you what I've been doing. So here in the greenhouse I've got lots of things that I've sown. Now some of them are doing quite well, some of them seem to have quite a bit of slug damage. I keep coming in here and checking underneath the pots to see if there's any slugs, and I usually get like half a dozen or so each time, and I just dispose of them over by the river so they can live out their life elsewhere. Some of them might end up closer to the river than others, that's all I'm saying. We've got a nice big spider in that one. I don't know if you can see, there's a huge web. I don't suppose the spider will do any harm though, so I'll leave that in there. So we've got some different flowers. These are biennial flowers, so we've got some cornflowers, apricots, lupins. I've sown some Florence fennel, but as you can see I've got 2, and then I've got a random pot of loads of seeds, no idea what they are. I've got a few Portuguese kale, which is a perennial kale that lasts probably about 3 years, so that's quite a nice one. I've got some Chinese kale, which is it's quite unusual. It's got kind of a thick stem, a bit like broccoli, and it's quite a quick growing crop, so I'll probably pop those on quite soon and get them in the polytunnel. I've got some cabbage up here. I've got, what else have I got? Some radicchio, pak choy back there. I've got some more pak choy here, and then perennial leeks, none of which have come up yet. Those were from seed. I'll show you some other perennial leeks which I'm more successful with in a minute. Those are outside. I asked my daughter to sow some beans into here, some dwarf beans, but I'm thinking maybe she forgot, because nothing's come up, and when I've had a little dig around, like, there doesn't seem to be anything at all in there, so I'm guessing she forgot to do that. And then I've got some peas. Peas are doing really well, so I'm gonna put up a trellis. I can't decide whether to try these outside now or just go for the polytunnel. I'm going to see what the long-term forecast says. If it's going to be like super nice September, I might put them outside. If it's looking the same as the rest of the summer, I think they're probably better in the polytunnel. Over on this side, I've got some landcress, I've got Californian poppies, I've got some lettuce, got lots of coriander coming up, I've got lots of claytonia, winter purslane, I've got mustard, mizuna. These are all things like the oriental greens do really well in the winter, especially if you give them a little bit of protection. Just a cloche, in my case a polytunnel. And then I've got a whole tray of beetroots, which is going to go half outside and half in the polytunnel. Well, I'm saying half in the polytunnel, that's not all going to fit, so maybe a quarter in the polytunnel. But those are lovely. That's bolt hardy, which I just find is a really good doer. Not always the biggest roots, but it always does quite well. And then I've just got a random potato here. I've chopped this in half because, as you can see, it's got a decent little chit on that side, and it's got a very teeny one on this side, and I'm going to be planting those into the soil in the greenhouse here in the hope of some new potatoes in the winter. I have tried growing for Christmas before. That hasn't always worked out very well, so now I'm going for winter potatoes, and then I'll just harvest them whenever I think and enjoy them. Maybe some birthday potatoes. My birthday's in November, so that might work out better. So out here, the raspberries have gone bonkers. This little raspberry patch is just full. As you can see, these are autumn raspberries, so we've got some raspberries that are ready, and we've got lots of raspberries that are still to come. Just eat that one. But they are everywhere. They're all through this soft fruit patch. As you can see, the red currant is dying back. It does this every year, but it lives every year and has a really good crop, so I don't know what it is, but I'm not worried. Same with the gooseberries. This gets sawfly every year, but they seem to arrive after the fruit, so again, just leave them to it. That's nature, I suppose. And yeah, more raspberries and blackberries just going a bit, well, brambles going a bit bonkers, so yeah, they need to go. But down here is some lovely fruit of autumn. We've got some apples, and one of my favourites is this thornless blackberry, which grows over this arch, and look at that, so beautiful, like jewels. So in this bed, which is my biggest bed, I'm going to mainly focus on some winter veg now. So my leeks are doing really well, and I've got some more leeks to go in here. I've got a few beetroot that are still in there. I'm going to be replacing those with the new ones that are in the greenhouse at the moment. And then I've got a few parsnips and some chard. So that's my plan for this. So I'll focus on the winter veg here. I might also put winter veg other places, but this will be the main patch. And then over there is Squash Mountain, which is doing really well. Here I've got another squash that's growing up this arch. Sadly, my labelling system once again failed, so I've no idea which is which, but as you can see, this is a very interesting looking one, so I'm quite excited for that. Definitely my best year for squash, without a doubt, and it goes all the way up there. Something I always really like to do is to leave some garlic and some leeks to flower, because as you can see, they're alliums, so they have these beautiful big pom-pom flowers on them, and they start off with these gorgeous buds. I can't get that to focus, but you get the idea. Yeah, I really love them. And this year my perennial Babington leeks have also flowered, and as you can see, these ones have made these lovely bugles underneath, which are effectively the little seeds, the little tiny cloves. I don't know what you call them, bugles. I think you call them bugles or boobles, or it sounds rude, I don't know. Anyway, these I will let kind of develop a bit more on here, and then when all this is dying back, I will harvest those I will grow some more perennial leeks, because these are really good. They take about 3 years to get to a point where they're harvestable size, but they're great, and you can just chop them at ground level and they'll just keep growing back, which is awesome. Apart from the things in the greenhouse, I've also done some outdoor sowing, or my daughter has. She's been sowing this daikon radish, or mooli, which are big long white radish, and they're really good for putting in stir fries and kimchi and things like that. So hopefully we'll get a good harvest of those. This little bed's all full of them. And then in here I've sown some more carrots. Now these are quite late for sowing carrots, I guess, but because they're in this kind of tube, I can give them some protection if I need to. I can just put something over the top of there and give them protection if they're not quite mature enough when the weather turns. There's also loads of seedlings coming up in here. No idea what they are though. So here's some celery, which a very kind plot neighbour gave me because he had too many, so I've popped them in there. As you can see, those outdoor peas not done well, but yeah, I don't know what these are, so I'm waiting for them to get their true leaves and then I'll decide whether they're keepers or not. The sweet corn is doing okay. I mean, it's grown and I do have some little sweet corns on there, so yeah, that's not a bad result for me. I'm not normally that great at the sweet corn, so I'm fairly happy with that. The strawberries have gone crazy in this bed. So this is my son's patch, and he put in, I don't know, 9 plants maybe. He just moved them from other places on the allotment and they love it in here. So they've gone, like I say, bonkers. They're having a second flush of strawberries now, which is lovely. But they've also put out loads of runners. So as you can see, I'm rooting them in pots. So literally just put a pot down, pop a plant in. So like this one here has come out, so you just kind of find the plant part that's growing. You'll see which way up it should go according to the leaves. Plunge it into the ground in your pot. You could just do this into the ground as well, it doesn't have to be in a pot, and that's it. And then once it's got established, I'll just see if this one's, yeah, so that's pretty much there. So you can just probably do this with snippers instead. That's not even the right one. I can't do it. So this is not how you should do it. You should go and get some secateurs. But yes, it will just come away from the parent plant. Those little runny bits will just die off and you'll have a nice new strawberry plant. Perfect. The tomatoes have not been a huge success this year. The plants have never got particularly big, but they do have fruits on. I mean, these look pretty good. The only problem now is blight. My tomatoes that I've grown outside at home have all got blight, and I've had to cut them as back as, you know, as violently as possible. I've noticed in here I seem to have some caterpillars. What are these? These are not the type of caterpillars I've had before, and I've never known them to be on tomatoes, so that's a new one. The tomato that's doing amazing as usual is Barry's Crazy Cherry. As you can see, look at all those little fruits. They just have hundreds and hundreds, which is amazing. But not ripe yet. Not a single tomato ripe yet. So fingers crossed we get some ripe before the blight arrives. So that's the allotment at the moment, and I hope you've enjoyed the little update. As I said, I will try and be better at doing these vlogs and get back in the habit of it. And I really hope you're having a lovely August and that you've had some sun. See you soon.